on this computer. Okay, hi everybody. Happy New Year's Eve. We are going to close out 2023 together, and we are going to start planning 2024. Now, calm down. We're only going to plan January, okay? This is not a vision board party. This is not a whole year thing. I feel like that's a lot to do for a Sunday morning. I will tell you, I am a bit under the weather, so I have cold tea, hot tea, Cram Plus, and some throat lozenges. I'm doing my best not to hack a lung up on you. So with that said, when you're looking at the month of January, hopefully you guys all have your blank calendar or your new planner or whatever it is that you're going to do. I busted out my new, I'm a huge fan of the big desktop girl because she stays right in front of me. So this is my calendar, not necessarily my planner. So the things that are on here are the things that aren't moving, right? Like these are like the boulders of my schedule. So my team Zoom, our big team Zoom. I have some one-on-ones with people. I have a dentist appointment on here. I have a leader like travel where I'm, having. Those are the big things that go on this calendar, as well as auto ship days, paydays, things like that. I also like to use this desktop calendar for my rate of run goals in the beginning of the month because this sits in front of me. So if you're the kind of person who only works on your phone, then I would encourage you to do some sort of monthly at a glance on your cover screen, something that you could see repetitively, because the more you see it, the more it's going to become ingrained in your brain. So with your blank calendar in front of you, I want you to spend a few minutes putting in what I call your boulders, right? We're gonna put the boulders of our life in there. So like I gave you my examples. I have a it's a dermatologist appointment that I made a year ago that thank God they texted me about yesterday because I would have forgotten. I love when they ask you at the dermatologist if you're free next January 3rd. Like, I don't know. It was probably January 5th the day I made it, right? I have no idea. Any team Zoom that you are always on or that you always lead, you want to make sure you have those on your calendar. If you don't have a set time or date that you check in with a leader on your team, whether it's your direct upline or a working upline, whoever that might be for you, I would encourage you to do that. And then also add that to your calendar. Like I said, I have a couple girls that I meet with I have one I meet with every Tuesday night at 7:30 and one I meet with every Wednesday at 10 a.m. It's quick. We just touch base, work through what's working, what's not, that kind of thing. But it's really helpful, not only for them, but for me as their upline to help to know what they need. What else do I have on here? Obviously the power plans, Monday through Friday. Any traveling you might be doing, any appointments you might be doing, anything with your kid, anything like things that can't be moved around. You want those on your big calendar, because once you have that in front of you, then you can really start to fill in and build with your business. And the reason I say that, I do this full time, but I still think it's important for me to put those boulders on there first so that I remember, what I have to work around, because this is the kind of business that you can work around things, and it will work better for you if you're working it around things instead of letting other things stop you, right? Okay, so once you have that on your calendar, then the things I like to add to my calendar on the 5th, the 10th, the 15th, the 20th, and the 25th, those are our auto ship days. And yes, I know they happen on the same days every month, but it has a way of sneaking up on you. So I like to I put them in green actually on my calendar so I don't forget. So we have one the very first Friday of the month. We're going to have an auto ship. Like that's a great way to kick off the new year. So I like to keep track of that. I like to keep track of free credit day, which is the second of the month. Again, I know it always happens on the second of the month, but have you ever looked and been like, oh, wow, it's the 4th and I totally forgot I got credits a couple days ago, right? Like it happens, like we get busy, especially like at the beginning of a new year like this. Trying to think what else I make sure I have on here first. I think that's all I have on mine for now. Okay, so the next thing I like to do with my fresh, shiny new calendar in front of me is I like to do my projected or goal setting rate of run. And so what that basically means is I say, okay, self, at the end of the month, I want to be at X volume. Okay, so yours is, we're all going to have different volumes that we want to be at. What do you want to be at? Take that number, and I like to write it at the top of my calendar. That's like my monthly goal, right? That's the volume I want to hit for the month. And then below it, I take that big dollar amount and I divide it by 31 because we have 31 days in January. Right? So now you should have a much smaller number, right? Because you just divided that big giant number by 31. And now you know what your daily average goal is. So now that I know my daily goal, I can look on, say, Saturday the 6th. I would take that daily goal times 6, and I'm going to know what do I need to be at that day, right? I could do the same thing with the 13th, the 20th, 27th. Now, remember, these are your goals. It doesn't mean it's magically happening. I wish it worked that way. That would be so awesome just to write it down and it happened. But the beauty of having this set at the beginning of the month and knowing where you want your month to end, instead of just haphazardly, it would be like saying you want to go to the store, but not knowing what store you want to go to. And you just go out and you drive around. Like it's like Christmas shopping when you're like, I need to go buy a present. You don't know who you're like, what you're buying or who you're buying it for. And you're just sort of driving around, going to stores, hoping something hits you. That doesn't ever pan out as well as when you say, I'm going to this store to get this gift for this person. Right. So this is your gift. You're setting your goal of where you want to go so you know how to get there. And if I get to, say, the 10th of the month and I check where I should be based on where I'm at, I'm going to know either what I'm doing is working or what I'm doing isn't working and I need to really kick it into gear. Right. So I have that as my marker all month long. And then during power plans, we kind of we cross back and we start to say, okay, here's what we've done, you know, compared to where you are going to be. So I always like to start the month off with that in front of me. Now, I know that you guys, I'm a dork. Like I love a planner, I love a new month, I love a new week, and I certainly love a new year. But I do want to try to remember that for those of you that are like, okay, 2024 is going to be my year. 2024 is the year for my business. It has to start on day one. Okay. So if you're thinking 2024 is going to be the year you get your auto bonus, that has to start tomorrow. You can't look at the month and think, okay, by June, I'm going to start focusing because by the end of the year, no, you have to start focusing tomorrow on what it is that you're going to do to make sure that you get your auto bonus, right? We can't keep padding our calendar because I see that happen a lot with people like, okay, I'm going to hit 4K by March. I'm going to go 12K by June, right? Like, no, like if you want to be 12K auto bonus this year, that is your goal starting tomorrow morning. So that's why we start with just January. We just start with the first week, the first day, and then we can break it down from there. So I want to ask you, what did you do in 2023 that worked really well for you? Like, think about it. Like, what made you feel accomplished? What brought you some of the goals that you had set? Like, what did you do really well? Because again, I think a lot of times we focus on what we need to do better, and I get that. But how about we start with what did we do really well in 2023? Like some of you maybe you're in your first month as a promoter. What did you do in that first month really well? That is hard. Is that what you're saying, Lindsay? Is that okay? Thetis. Being consistent is what I feel I did well. Nice, Renee. And consistency is key. I know that's cliche, but it is so true. Does anybody else have anything that they felt like they did really well? You know, it's hard to brag about yourself, but it's okay. Like, this is the moment. Like, tell me what you did really well. Did you show up on Zooms? Did you do reels for the first time? Or did you consistently do reels? Did you go live? Did you host a local? Like, what did you do really well?
My follow-ups in 2023 were really well, and keeping y'all, this is my 5 4 3 2 1 sheet, looks terrible, but keeping right here in this section highlighted people who were asking, we just haven't got them to order, blah blah blah, so that I knew to follow up with these people. Because the worst thing that I've done in all the years past is forget somebody who had told me, hey, yeah, send me some information, or hey, yeah, send me a sample. I would just lose them.
Yeah.
And then when I'd go back 6 months later, I'd be like, that does not look very good for me to be a professional when I miss them. So
well,
I feel like
right.
my follow-up game in that.
Fortune is in the follow-up. So are you saying that did you do better because of the system you use, the 5 4 3 2 1 sheet?
Because as soon as I felt like they were definitely people who would possibly order, like they're replying back to me, they're talking, they're asking questions, get with me next Friday, that kind of stuff. They went in this section right here and they were highlighted.
Okay, a highlight. So you
And I
can
wish
see
I
like,
had all my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sheets right here with me, but I don't. They're put away, but I can go back through all of them and see all those highlights. And I feel like that's what has helped me continue to follow up correctly and better, and why my PPA stays where it's at, or why I have so many people who get to Thrive for free, because I'm not missing them. And I am guilty, y'all. I've been in this business for 10 years. I am guilty for missing people who were probably right there.
oh yeah, same. I think we all are. But I love what Susan is sharing with you guys, because I know everyone's like, I need a spreadsheet, or I need a customer software, or I need a special binder. She has a 54321 sheet that is available to you in the cloud office, and she's using a highlighter that you can get at Walmart. Like it doesn't have to be hard. It's doing it. So the doing it is what was helpful for her. Using an existing system was helpful for her. And so if you're like, well, I kind of suck at follow-ups too, grab a highlighter. Like number one tip, grab a highlighter.
I will say this, part of that group is always following up with the people who are helping other people thrive for free.
Mhm.
So like after the 25th, or this month, it was the 26th, I start writing down all the people who are thriving for free. And then over here, these are the ones who just need one. Again, it's a highlighter. Now, they're one. I may not know who the heck that's going to be yet, but that I'm also keeping them at the top of the mind awareness. Like, who are the people who just need one person? So
Right.
that is honestly today, like, I'm like, could y'all just please put your order in kind of situation?
Right. It's D-Day, people. Today's the day.
Yeah.
But again, like you were saying, they need one. You don't necessarily know who it is yet, but because you're keeping track of it, you know that they even need one. It's like the people who have the goal, but they don't know where they're going. Like, you know, the goal, you need a person to fill that hot spot. So again, she's just got it written down on a sheet of paper, and she has a highlighter. So if you are struggling with keeping track of follow-ups, I want you to walk away from today's Zoom with a blank sheet of paper and or a pre-printed 54321 sheet and a highlighter. Like, don't make it any more complicated than that. Renee says, oh no, I read Renee, sorry. Lindsay said, showed up on more working Zooms and samples out. Yeah, so Lindsay, talk about your samples. How were you getting, because I know how you got them out, but share how you got more samples out.
Just being bold and posting more, asking the question. Also, getting my customers and saying, I'm sending you 2 samples. I already pre-packed them. I mailed them to them as their thank you gift and said, here, they're in your pocket, they're in your purse, they're in your car. Go hand them to somebody. And of course, telling them to get the free whatever and all the things. But I just learned that I can ask someone blue in the face, hey, I have free samples. But when they were in their hands, they were way more apt to giving them to somebody. It's a lot easier when you have it, when it's something tangible. So that worked for me. I'm going to continue that into the new year. Yes. I mean, sometimes if you looked at my statistics or my numbers, it probably wouldn't be the greatest, but it's what's working for me in the moment. Like, I had to walk away from birthday samples because that was kicking me in the rear, and I tried to change and do something different. So you just always have to be evolving. I mean,
Correct. I like that. We go. Ronnie says, I sprinkled more of my life into my stories. Jacqueline says, consistency with Facebook posts, sending thank you cards. You know, it's one of my favorites, and attending training Zoom, especially Wake Up and Win. Yes. I will. So this past year was my first year of doing this full time, not having another, like, I didn't have to train clients anymore. And in the beginning, I really struggled with like that 9 a.m. wake up and win. It's 9 a.m. for me, but wake up and win, because by 9 a.m. I typically had a lot of stuff done. But once I got on track, even if my 54321 is done or almost done, by the time I get on there, I always learn something, and it keeps my feet close to the fire. So for those of you that are like, I can't be on at that time, or why would I get on at that time? I'm already done. They're all recorded. Like, listen to it on the drive home, even if you're not currently, like, if you're driving, so you're not sending a follow-up, but maybe you hear something you never heard before. I just think it's so important to have that, like, you touch base once a day. If you work out, that's a great time to also have it playing in the back of your mind, like something like that. Susan said genius. I think she was talking about your samples, Lindsay, I believe. And Rachel says, Lindsay, I'm sending samples, but then they don't follow up. Any suggestions?
following up, and then they're like ghosting you. I don't know what that. I don't know.
Like, Rachel, are you following up with them and they just won't talk? They won't communicate with you? feel free to unmute if it's easier.
Yes, I follow up with them, but then they're ghosting me, or I'm even putting them in a three-way chat with Glenna, but still, like, they just ghost me.
Okay. Does anybody have anything they want to add to that?
I'm gonna be real honest. That happens about, Lindsay, let's say 75% of the time. I mean, if the number may not be higher there. So sometimes if I do that follow up with them, say, hey, just making sure you finish that sample, blah, blah, done all the things for smart sampling, and they're still not replying to me, I get real bold. And I say, hey, so it appears that you've changed your mind on this Thrive thing. Absolutely no big deal. We can still be friends, but I've got a list of people who need that. Do you mind shipping that back to me? Here's my address. That's usually when they reply.
Yep, I
So-
love that. That's my favorite thing to do. Like, you literally turn the tables on them.
Yeah.
Because we have to remember it's a super big priority for us, but it is not for them. Even if they think their health is their number one priority, if it, like Thrive, like maybe their health is on their mind, but Thrive may not be on their mind yet. You know, before you became a true thriver, it wasn't a top priority to you either. So it's a matter of just staying on top of it. And then when they don't respond, turning the table and being like, hey man, that stuff is gold. And I have people that want that. So I'm going to get that back from you. The other thing that I know I've used several times over the last umpteen years is I will just send a question and say, have I said something to offend you? Because typically people are like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Not at all. I just have been so busy. Like, we forget that people have a million things going on in their life that have nothing to do with their Thrive sample. And we start to take it to heart, like, oh, they're not talking back, they're ignoring me, blah, blah, blah. I come to find out so-and-so's been in the hospital, or so-and-so, they've got like real things going on. So I just say, hey, I hope all is well with you. I'm just reaching out one more time because I'm afraid maybe I've said something that has offended you. And I just want to make sure that, we're good. And then that typically gets a response. So I say, turn the table and ask for it back, or ask them if you have offended them in any way, and that will get the conversation started. Because remember, it is a numbers game. The more samples you get out, the more yeses you're going to get. But you have to remember, it's also the more no's you're going to get. So you just have to be prepared for that. GPOT, get people on Thrive. That is literally our job, is to get people on Thrive. So whether we share the experience with them through our stories, through our reels, through an event, or through a hardcore sample, that's what we do. And so with every, I don't know, with every yes, you're probably going to get 8 or 9 or 10 no's. It just depends on who you're talking to. So, okay. I get ghosted as well. I love that. I asked for them back. No response. It's frustrating. I love that. Okay, so far we have follow-ups and samples are the two things that people think they did well. I'm going to throw you for a loop. I want you guys to log into your cloud right now. Let me get logged in with you so I can tell you the exact buttons to push. Slowly but surely, I'm getting logged in. Okay, I want you to go. Oh, it's because of tag team, right? I want you to go to your menu, and I want you to go down to the My Commission button. And then I want you to go to commission history. Now scroll past your yearly summary and any of like your trips. And I would just want you to scroll just briefly. Do not look at a bonus check of any kind or an auto bonus, or don't look at those checks. Look at your regular paycheck. Could be the last month, could be the last 12 months. Find your ideal paycheck. Like, what is that check that when it hit, you were like, yes, that is exactly what feels good to be getting every month. Like, that's the number I want every month. Because I will tell you, we all have highs and we all have lows. So find the one that felt like, yes, that's what I'm working for. And then right next to that number, you're going to see it says view report. I want you to click view report. Right here, Lavelle's going to tell you how you got that money. Now, I'm not going into details on comp plan because it's above and beyond my brain capacity, but you're going to see right away what rank were you at when you hit that. Was that the month that you were 4K? And maybe now you're back to brand promoter. So that's something to keep track of. You're going to see how many customers ordered. You're going to see how many personal sponsored promoters had volume there. You're going to see your sales teams, like, so all the promoters under you. You're going to see the total volume that was sold. Now, if you scroll right below that, you're going to see a graph, and it's going to break it apart for you in sections, and it's going to tell you where that money came from, like just like in groupings. And then if you scroll down even below that, you will start to go, you'll actually see the order, what promoter it fell under, who the customer was. But to me, the important part is I scroll to the right. And like right here, I have an order that I made $6.20 off of. But right below that, there's an order that I made $28.80 off of. So what was the difference? Well, one looks like a person got capsules, and one I'm going to guess was a couples pack. So what did I do? What did I do good that week? I sold a couples pack, right? Go down a little lower. Here's an order that that's another couples pack. Yeah, I did some couple packs that week. And or because I have a team under me where these numbers also come from, and or my team sold couples packs that week. So that's something we did well that resulted in a paycheck that I'm very happy with, that I would like to continue with, right? So what is something as a leader I could start to do? Incentivize couples packs? What can I do for my team to incentivize couples packs? And we all know thrivers that thrive together thrive longer, right? Whether it's husband and wife or friends or whatever. So that's a little trick I like to do every now and then. When my paychecks aren't hitting quite the way I like them to, I go through and I find one that hit just right. And I think, what did we as a team, or what did I as a leader, or as just as a promoter myself, what did I do correctly? Because you guys, sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the I'm doing all the things, right? But I can tell you right now, the example I just gave you guys, I have not in the last 12 months incentivized my team in any way, shape, or form to sell couples packs. So I'm not doing all the things, right? Like I just had an aha moment right there with you all live here right now. So that is a little trick I like to do when I'm like, I don't know what I did right. Another thing that your cloud can help you with, oh, I hope I didn't log out. Okay, I didn't. You're going to go back to your menu. This time you're going to go to your reports, and you're going to hit website traffic. Ooh. And you're going to scroll down. Sorry. Okay. And there are days where I'm like, oh dear. And I know, like Friday, December 22nd, I know for a fact I did my bingo card. So I know I did my reels. I know I did all my stuff, but I had 0 people on my website that day. And then a couple days later, well, it's after that because it was after Christmas. 2 days after Christmas, I had a bunch of people on my website. So what did I do differently? I can go back to my social media and look. I can go to my archive stories. I'm going to guess, I didn't check this beforehand, but I'm going to guess that I shared my link in like a sample, like I offered a sample, or you know what I mean? Like I shared my link somewhere where more people were clicking on it. And again, that's just something, I get caught up, like I don't mean to, but sometimes I get caught up and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know, 4.5 thousand people watch my reel. Okay, great, Sally Sue, but that ain't paying your bills. Who clicked the link because of your reel, right? So that's where I like to go back through and you can see that. You can see, okay, this was a great day for my link. Why? And it tells you the date. So go back to your Facebook, your Instagram, whatever. What did you share that day? And a lot of like the clickable links that we share in our stories are where you're going to get like the hot movement, right? But maybe I did a reel about going all the way back to the summer now, but maybe I did a reel. Maybe I went into my stories and I talked about a frequently asked question about Thrive. Do I have to take all 3 pieces, all 3 steps? Maybe I did that as a reel or a story that day. Did that story get people to click on my link? Like you'll be able to kind of have that. Have had success with people clicking links. Oh, have you had success with people clicking links and products are sold? Every blue moon, I do get a random stranger that just pops up in my cloud and they have placed an order. So yes. Do I have success with them communicating back with me? No. And it's kind of it's similar to what Rachel was talking about earlier, like where you kind of feel like they're ghosting you, but at the same time, I'm just using the email that they put in for their order. Now we have phone numbers for some people, not all people, but some people. So I've tried to text them before. So on occasion, yes, people have clicked my link and ordered. I don't know who the heck they are, but also I have had people do that, and I reach out to them and I'm like, hey, saw you place your order. I'm so excited for you. What questions can I answer? And we get a conversation started. I will typically then be like, now, how did you find me? And sometimes people will say, I found you on TikTok, or if somebody goes to Lavelle.com and they don't have someone they're ordering under, like maybe they've seen something, they get like a list that they can kind of click on, like in your area or whatever, they can click. So once it was that one time, it was the girls like, well, I forget, she said my name sounded nice. I forget what she said. It was like really weird, but I was like, okay, whatever. I'm happy to get your order. But again, so I want to drive people to the product, and to get them to the product, they have to get to my website. So I want to know, what days did I do well? So again, when you're thinking about what are the things I did great in all of 2023 that I want to make sure I incorporate in January, number one is I want to make sure I'm sharing my clickable link. Number two, I want to make sure I'm putting samples in people's hands. And notice how Lindsay said she didn't just offer samples. She packaged them up and mailed them and said, hey, I sent you 2 samples. Like, she got it in their hands. And then you don't want to lose track of it, right? And that's what Susan's talking about. That's her follow-up list with her, the list of names, and then the highlighter, right? A follow-up could be like, you know, like she was saying, like some of her follow-ups don't have a highlighter on them, right? Not everybody is going to be a prospect in that very moment. But when somebody does respond back, or you notice somebody starts watching your commenting more on your social media, or watching more of your stories, or you know, like if you throw a question out on your stories and you notice you're starting to answer stuff, that person is really getting into you and what you're sharing. So that person that would be a highlight for me. Like that would be somebody I want to make sure I don't lose track of. And then definitely anybody that I sent a sample to. You know, a lot of you did 12 Days of Christmas. How many of you have followed up with those people from your 12 Days of Christmas? I bet you had a lot of people comment, like, whatever you asked them to do to win, or to, you know, get your 12 Days of Christmas. Have you followed up with them? If not, that's definitely something you want to dive in January. Spoiler alert, the bingo cards for January are almost done. And I struggle with the fact that they're very similar to the bingo cards from September, October, November, and December. But that's because they are the basics of what we do. And so if you are doing the bingo cards and you're seeing that you're staying consistent because you have something to follow, and you're seeing that you're staying consistent, like until we started doing the bingo cards, I was not, I thought I would have told you that I was very consistent in offering samples. I would have looked you dead in the eye and told you I was so consistent with that, because I really did truly think that. But then when it started showing up on the bingo card consistently in black and white, and I started doing it, I was like, dang, this is a lot more talk about samples than I think I've ever done on a consistent basis. So you want to start getting, you want to identify what works, and then you want to be consistent with it. Because there's going to be things that are going to come to you in January that are going to be new and exciting, right? Could be a new product, could be, I mean, who knows, tomorrow there could be a new social media app. I don't know about the rest of you, but when I first heard of Reels, I wanted to puke. Who knows what's coming for us, you know, the next time that none of us are going to want to do. So there's always going to be that kind of stuff hanging out that you're going to be learning, that you're going to be wanting to get better at, and you're going to want to kind of dip your toe into. But in the background, it's going to be the basics. So with this in mind, I want you to look at that calendar again. Can you identify 3 to 4 days a week that you're going to talk about? It could be a reel, could be a post, could be a story, could be a live, whatever. 3 or 4 days a week that you consistently are going to talk about sampling the product. Can you look at your calendar and say, okay, every day at 7 p.m. or 2 a.m. 2, could be, some of you might be night owls, at 2 p.m. I'm going to go over my follow-up list with my highlighter, right? We're not asking you to do new things all the time. We're just asking you to do the same thing consistently. And that's when I look at my calendar for the month. I think what, you know, like Thursday is, for whatever reason, not an exciting day on my calendar. That would be a great day for me to like really sit down and go through my follow-ups. Obviously you're doing your daily follow-ups, but it's that sitting down with that list, with that highlighter, like Susan was talking about, and really identifying over the last couple of weeks who got highlighted that maybe I need to continue following up with, who got highlighted last month that I haven't talked to in a few weeks, right? There could be a time in your calendar, and you're only going to know that if you take the time to plan out your calendar. I've used this example with my team a million times, and I'm going to use it again. When a dentist wakes up on Monday morning, she does not go into her office and say, wonder who's stopping by today, right? She went into her office and her day is planned. She knows who's coming at 8, 8:15, 8:30, 8:45, right? She knows when she's taken an appointment with, I don't know, a salesperson. She knows when she's having lunch, right? It's all planned out. And that's how the dentist stays in business. And so if you are waking up every day and thinking, wonder what I'm going to do with my business today, versus I'm going to be on this Zoom at this time, I'm going to do my follow-ups at this time, I'm going to do my reel first thing in the morning. If you are just waiting to see what comes to you, I'm not going to say things might not come to you, because you're going to get some stuff, right? I mean, something's bound to happen during your day, but I want you to take control of it. And that's why we look at our calendar at the beginning of the month. That's why we put in the big bolder things. Like, I know straight up, there's a couple of days I'll be traveling in January. I can't guarantee I'd have Wi-Fi, right? I also can't guarantee how the schedule will go on the days that you're traveling. So I already know going in that I should have a couple of reels and some Facebook posts in my back pocket, stored in my phone, that I could send when I get the chance, versus trying to come up with it that day, right? Like, how many of you are guilty of being like, well, I guess I'm going to do a reel today. I don't know what about yet, but I'm going to do a reel. Versus, it's Monday, I'm doing a motivational reel. It's Tuesday, I'm doing a testimonial, right? Like, it's very different when you plan. We hear the word all the time, intentional. It's intentional. You guys, you would be so ticked if you put your kid on a school bus every morning and they rolled into school and they sat down and the teacher said, what do you guys feel like doing today? Right? Like, you expect that teacher to be like, okay, here's what we're learning today. Here's how I'm going to teach it to you. I've got this paperwork ready. I've got this, like, you expect people to have that lined up, but then you're not expecting it of your own business. Right? So when you say, I want to be 12K, but you can't seem to break past 2K, are you being intentional? Do you have a plan to get to 12K? Only in Miss Dickens' class will it be daily. She's so new. God love her. Okay, so is this helpful? Are we thinking ahead? Right? I really, why we are all on here, I want to encourage you, and I want you to in turn encourage your teammates, upline, downline, sidelines. Tuesday evenings, it's 8 p.m. Eastern, so you can figure out your time zone from there. We are diving into a branding series for the team Zooms. It's so important. What did I hear the other day? The tighter down you niche, the higher up your check. Something like that. And we're gonna be working on branding so that you can really start talking to your people, because I promise when you finally figure out who your people are and you start talking to them, it becomes so much easier to do that kind of stuff, so that then you can sit down at your table or your desk and go through your website traffic, and you can go through your ideal check account and or paycheck and things like that. I really appreciate these Zooms. I've learned so much and they are real. Thank you. So excited for the branding. Yes. When is this taking place again? This is on Tuesday nights. Now, Red, I don't know I know we get other people on these teams here, so I'm not totally sure whose team you're on. Leanne. Oh, okay. Yeah. So Leanne's part of it. So Leanne's team is part of it. So it's the Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. I don't know where you are, but the 8 p.m. It's where we've joined our team Zooms together, and we have one on Tuesday. So that is starting on Tuesday, this Tuesday. I'm so confused. Tomorrow is a new year. Okay. All right. So let me see. Okay. Next thing I wanted, sorry, that first question really took me a long time, didn't it? My bad. Okay. So we went over what we felt accomplished and what we did well, and how we can find different things that we did do well. We went over our ideal paycheck. Okay. Now what I want you to think moving forward over the last month or last year, what drained you in your business? Like drained, D-R-A-I-N-E-D, drained. What drained you in your business? Maybe you tried to be on every Zoom every day. Maybe you tried to do 20 reach outs every day. Maybe you did a Thrive and Mingle every day in November and December, or at least tried to, and you were rewarded well for that effort. but perhaps it drained you a bit, right? What are some things that drained you? Maybe you had a teammate who was sucking the life out of you because you were giving them more than their 2-minute pity break, right? Think about the things. So we've talked about what we did well. We've talked about how to find out what we've done well. Now let's think about the things that we need to get rid of. Like, what are some things that you're like, you know what? I don't have time for that in January. And maybe it's not even team related. Perhaps you put yourself to bed every night at 9:30 and you didn't go to bed till midnight because you were scrolling TikTok or you were watching TV, Netflix, whatever. I don't watch TV, but I do like YouTube. So I just don't know the cool shows to tell you that you might have been watching. Right? Or maybe your day job, maybe you were listening to some negativity at your day job and that bled over. So then by the time you got home at night to do this job, you were like, what's the point? Life sucks. I gotta work forever, right? You guys, we all know those people that we work with or used to work with. So let's say, I'm just going to give you a couple examples so you can get your brains thinking. Let's pretend that something that drained you was your physical health. Maybe you always felt too busy to do all the things, like to exercise, to move your body, plus do your day job, plus take care of your house, plus, listen to a training, plus, whatever. Moving forward, how can we fit that in for you? Could you listen? Could you walk in place while listening to this Zoom? Could you listen to a podcast? My trick is I listen to a podcast every morning on my morning walk, and I go out and I walk even when it's cold or hot. I mean, I enjoy the heat, but even when it's cold, because that's just how I start my day. That's how I make sure I take control of my day. Some mornings it's 20 minutes, some mornings it's 45 minutes. It's whatever I can give to it, but it's a consistent thing with me. And I'm telling you, if you have something like that, like in the back of your mind, if you're like, man, I'm just not moving enough. Like, I'm like, my body's aching. I'm sitting at my desk too much. I'm driving too much. I'm doing all the things except stretching. I'm doing all the things except moving. If that plays in your head more than 4 times a week, that's draining you, whether you realize it or not. So let's address that. Moving forward on January 1, what can you do differently? And I know this is going to be different for everybody. Maybe after dinner, you find yourself watching TV. Is that the best use of your time if your goal is to be 12K? Maybe you could watch half an hour with your family and then spend a half an hour working your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Or maybe you could say, hey kids, mom loves you. And I'm glad that you like this show and I'm glad that you like to watch it. I'm going to be in the room with you, but I'm going to be working on my phone because mom is getting a new car. Right? There are conversations that you might have to have. I mean, God love my husband. So when I started my morning walks, he didn't go with me at first. And then when we closed our business, he like wanted to start coming along. And I was like, that's cool. You can come. I'm like, but just know I'm listening to a podcast. I'm not chit-chatting. And he was like, oh, okay. And so literally it's in my ear and he knows we're walking together. We're out there together, but we're not chit-chatting because he knows I'm listening to my podcast. So it would have been very easy to be like, oh, wow, an hour to go, but you got to stick to your guns. Less busy work and more intentional. Exactly. And you guys, if you're looking at your calendar, like we're saying, and you know that once a week you're mailing out a sample and you know that every Thursday at whatever time after dinner, you're going to do your follow-ups, your big follow-up for the week, then it makes it easier for you to have more actual free time to spend with people versus scrolling. I will also tell you the other really big reason to get on these branding Zooms that we're going to do. I wasted an exorbitant amount of time over the last year searching for reels to remake, searching for things that I thought I needed to talk about. And when I finally decided what my brand was and who I was, I barely look at, like at night before bed, I scroll a little bit, but I don't look for other people's reels to copy or to get an idea from. My reels are just me talking. I don't have to waste time anymore. So if you feel like you're wasting time, the branding is going to save you a lot. Lindsay says, my plan is to look ahead at bingo cards and use my brand to pre-make posts and reels and content excuse me, so that to me personally is IPA like a mofo. Yeah, exactly. And we do, for those of you that are getting the bingo cards, we do put them up the night before, which we've heard from so many people, helps everyone kind of plan ahead and be ready for the day, ready for the week. I'm under Tiffany. Oh, sorry, Tammy, she said that direct to me. I'm under Tiffany Wagner. Yeah, Tiffany's on our Zooms, isn't she? Is Tiff in our Zooms? Oh no, she's not in our Zooms. She's on our Wake Up and Wins, right?
But let me go find the link real quick and I'll just send it to everybody.
Okay.
Just give me a minute. I'm not
It's all right.
real.
Take your time. Take your time.
Okay.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to hack a lung up on anybody. Also, when you send me a direct message like that, I'm sorry. I don't pay attention to those things. I just start reading messages. Okay, so moving forward with January, have you thought about what you've done well that you want to continue to do more of? Right? Far too often, like I said, we focus on what we need to do better. But if you just start focusing on what you're doing well and build upon that, that will make a really big difference. So instead of going into the new year, the new week, the new month and being like, oh my God, I got to change everything. I got to start getting up an hour earlier. I've got to change my food. I've got like, you wake up with a lot, like what is something you're doing really well? Like keep doing it. Get even better at it. Like Susan has her follow-up. Oh, there, thank you, Susan. Susan has her follow-up with her highlighter system in place. Why on earth would she change that now? Right? It's working. From that working really well, she's probably going to come up with something that is also going to start working, right? Maybe she's going to find a different way to send her sample link that sends to work that's working better for her, or maybe she starts to realize that with those follow-ups, she's getting a better result with this mailing a sample directly from her home with custom shake flavors versus the one, you know what I mean? Like, so once you get really good at something, other things will grow from that. Like Lindsay got really good at mailing out just the pure physical sample. I have sent the message so many times about, hey, I've got 2 samples with your name on it. Who can you think of that would want them? Crickets. Because maybe the person was at work. Maybe the last thing this person wants anyone to know is that they're a thriver, right? Maybe they're like secretly thriving and they've never told anybody. But if I had just boxed it up and sent it and said, hey girl, I sent you 2 samples, hand them out to a friend, that'll go different, right? So try to keep doing what you're doing, but also be open to the new ideas and new things ahead. Now that we've talked for 45 minutes, has anyone else thought of something that they did really well in 2023 that you want to continue in 2024? Because I know when I first asked, not everyone was ready for that question. Okay, crickets. All right. Excuse me. All right, that's okay. So for January what your volume goal is. You now know what it is broken down day to day. I want you to spend a little time after we get off of here going through that ideal paycheck and looking through that comp history. And again, I'm not asking you to learn the comp plan. I'm 8.5 years into this and I don't know the comp plan like the back of my hand at any way, shape, or form. I do know I make more money when I have customers order over promoters. So I no longer try to switch people to promoter, regardless of the deal, because I make better money when they say my customer, right? These are things I've lived and learned. I just learned with all of you that I make a great amount of money when I sell or my team sells couples packs. So girlfriend's going to get on that right away. Tammy says consistency with working this business because I deserve to be a Lavelle millionaire. Yes, girl, preach it. Say that from the top. Red says I keep my customers happy. Can you elaborate on that? Well, oh, where'd she go? Uh-oh. She's gone. I think she was trying to unmute, but now we've lost her completely. So hopefully she'll come back and tell us what that means. If she was like, I don't know, that could mean a lot of different things. I'm assuming it's got something to do with follow-ups though, customer service, things like that. God love her, I don't see her. Okay, so again, also that now you can go back and look at your website traffic and know what worked and know what didn't. I have found before that when I go on and I do a story where I talk about, I know I get wordy. I mean, I know, shocking, right? I get wordy and I talk about what the product did for me and why I love it so much. And you could get a sample. I don't get as many clicks as when I say, hey, here's what's in a sample pack. It's this, this, and this. Let me know if you want one. Those I get more clicks on. Now, your friends, your following may be completely different. But you won't know until you start looking at those things. There's misread. Uh-oh, you're muted again.
No,
There
I'm
you go.
sorry.
That's okay. It happens.
I accidentally got out of this one and ended up somewhere else.
That's right.
I just try to, like everybody does, send them thank you text messages. Also little samples of the Plus line products, telling them thank you. I love Blast because I've been sharing where I tell people get a thank you card or a birthday card, whatever the occasion is, and just put have a, and then tape the blast in between, happy birthday or whatever, so
Super
because
cute.
that, yeah, like you said, they're the ones that help us.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally don't push anybody to switch over to a brand promoter unless they're asking more questions. And something like that is when I will get Leanne involved, so she can help me. But for the most part, I enjoy and love my customers.
Yeah. So let me ask you really quick. Do you have a system? How do you, because I love thank you cards and I love samples. And sometimes I struggle. Like, I'm like, wait, did I already mail her a blast? Or did I mail her? You know what I mean? How do you keep track of that? Or do you just kind of go with the flow whenever? Not that a customer is going to be sad that they got a duplicate sample, but I'm just curious how you keep track of it.
Sometimes I'll write it down on my planner, or I know I've been thriving now for over 6 years. So when I kind of started, basically my second year, because the first year was just more for me, I got little index cards, and on the back I would make little notes.
Okay, so that was kind of like your customer tracking system.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm just always curious how people do it, because that's the part I struggle with. I actually kind of switched to a product of the month. So like if I did Blast in June, then I might do Cram Plus in July, then I might do Activate, you know what I mean? Just so I wouldn't repeat myself until the following year. And I have seen the index card system, and I purchased an index card years ago, and I never did it. I don't know how many people are guilty of that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, well, that's all I have for you guys. I want you to leave this Zoom remembering this, though, because I know because it's where I am. It's where we all are. Tomorrow is a new year, and we have big goals. We have big dreams. We have new vision boards coming into place. It has to start tomorrow. You have to take those goals and you have to put the pressure on tomorrow. So don't worry about all of 2024. Worry about January 1 of 2024. And then the next day you can worry about January 2nd of 2024. But keep those goals and put those on every single day. Not, I'm a big picture planner, but I don't want to then keep my plan up high. I bring it all the way down to that day. What time is the Zoom on Tuesday? It is 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'm not sure what zone you're in. Will there be a wake up and win tomorrow? Susan, I don't know. No, there's not one tomorrow because it is a holiday.
We're not going to do one tomorrow. We'll pick it back up on Tuesday, but that doesn't mean that we won't send out the bingo card and send out ideas to do stuff.
Yes. That also doesn't mean that there's not a gazillion wake up and wins on YouTube that you guys can't find. If you like, if you're like, I need to hear those voices, I need to hear that excitement, then I would encourage you to go to the YouTube page and find them, or your team page and find them. Okay. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Have a happy, happy, happy new year. Peace out.
Thanks for doing this today, Tammy.
You're welcome. I will talk to you guys Wednesday for my wake up and win. Bye.